Good evening and welcome. Starting with the big story that we are tracking for you. In a big setback to the ride-hailing company Uber, the top court in the UK has ruled in favour of the group of drivers, saying that they are entitled to worker rights, such as the minimum wages and regular breaks. Uber drivers are currently treated as self-employed or contractors. Millions of workers globally are engaged in these new economy jobs, ranging from ride-hailing services like Ola, Uber, Lyft and food delivery or courier business. The case in which the ruling has been given today was led by two drivers. A London employment tribunal ruled in 2016 that they were due entitlements such as paid holidays and rest breaks. However, the Silicon Valley-based firm appealed the original ruling all the way to Britain's top court. The decision could also result in Uber facing a hefty compensation bill and wider implications for its operations in Europe and Asia, as it will have to classify its drivers as workers rather than self-employed. More than 600,000 people across Europe used Uber's app to earn money in 2020. Uber has around 60,000 drivers in Britain, including 45,000 in London before coronavirus struck. And Uber was facilitating 14 million rides every week in India. But here there are also workers who have gone on strike frequently, demanding better pay and living conditions. For more on this judgment, we are being joined by our London Bureau Chief, Mandy Clark. Thanks for being with us on this broadcast, Mandy. Now, the courts have ruled in favour of the drivers, saying that they are entitled to workers' rights. This is a big win for the drivers. What does it mean for the cab-hailing aggregator?
It is a huge win for the driver, and it really kind of shakes up the gig economy. The way Uber argued, of course, beforehand was that they were just putting self-employed people, drivers, in connecting with customers, and so they didn't have any responsibilities. Now, as them classified as workers, there are so much more, including compensation, sick days, all those factors. That's going to really affect Uber's structure, and it puts into question how their model worked. The model was based on just connecting people. They were a service that connects. Now they have employees. In all likelihood, they'll want to fight this because it's really precedent setting. It will add a lot more responsibilities. But we saw the failings of the gig economy really hit home when the pandemic struck, because all those people who really survived on having that perpetual next gig suffered greatly. And there was no security net during the pandemic. And that's where they're taking a hard look at these cases and seeing if it's really in the right mode for these workers who were in such precarious predicament all last year.
Right, Mandy. Now, all of these elements that you've mentioned that will have to be implemented with the new ruling, when is this likely to happen and when will it all come into effect?
It will take some time to happen. There is a chance that Uber might want to fight this. They do have the right to reply, of course. But of course, if they do take it into effect, it could take quite a few months. It's a restructuring of how they operate. You know, it's against the model. So I think Uber will think long and hard how they are going to take the ruling. And if they do take the ruling, if they're going to restructure how the whole business is run, because all of a sudden they have many, many employees, and that comes with tax they have to pay, national insurance, certainly in this country. So all those responsibilities have been added to Uber, and that's going to massively cut into their profits. So the question is, do they accept it, and how it's going to shape their business model?
Right, and Mandy, you did mention it. This is going to be precedent setting. What does this mean for other aggregators globally?
Well, you know, it could be precedent setting. Of course, many of the rulings it's happening specifically in the UK, but other countries will look at similar models and say they could use that. So certainly in Europe and in the United States. So it could lead to much, much wider markets, certainly where there has been the argument that they are not getting enough rights for the job they're doing. And they very much see, in many ways, they are in the employment of Uber. So it could have global ramifications if other courts see this as a precedent and the way forward on how these gig economy lift sharing apps work.
Andy, thank you very much for bringing us the details and that analysis there.